Hello, everyone. This is Attorney Colin Nguyen. I am reaching out to you to discuss another feudal law that I practice and that I think is a little bit complicated for the lay person. So I want to talk about it a little more, giving you guys a little details about it. I've spoken about it before in a brief video prior, distinguishing the difference between a Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about Chapter 7 a little bit more in depth, and we can kind of go over some of the pitfalls of bankruptcy, Chapter 7, and try to give you some advice in regards to how to avoid those pitfalls. So first and foremost, bankruptcy 7 is typically done by an individual. A business can do it as well. So I'm going to really touch on more so the individual base. So in an individual context, a person owes money. Let's say credit cards, let's say personal loans, medical bills, even income taxes that stem from prior years to the IRS or the state of whatever your state you're living in. And those things are all possibly dischargeable so long as you qualify. So in order to qualify, you have to have a certain amount of income, as in you can't have more than a certain amount of income for your particular state. So each state is kind of specific in regards to what your income is, because obviously an income in the person in Alaska is going to be different from an income in Hawaii. It also takes into account your household, who else lives in your house, and who you're providing for. So those things come into play. Also, the issue of disposable income is another thing. You have to be able to document out all your income as minus your expenses, which typically you have to be very either in the red, which means you're in a negative category, or very low in regards to disposable income, where there's no way that you're going to be able to pay back these debts. And this program is really created to protect consumers who are, have this burden on their shoulders, this financial burden. Let's say you make $50,000 a year, which isn't bad. However, let's say you have $20,000 worth of credit cards, which is very frequent, and credit card rates stem from as low as 12% up to, I've seen, 26%. So it's crippling. It's very much crippling, and you're just paying minimums at that point, never getting out. So a lot of times it's not a bad route, especially if you qualify for it. And I always tell my clients that, look, you're lying to yourself if you think you can pay this back, because based on your income, based on your expenses, based on the taxes you're paying out, you owe $20,000 at a rate of, let's say, 20%, and you make $50,000 and your take home is like 35. With your bare necessities, let's say children and this and that, you have no disposable income, and there's no way you pay back these creditors, and you're just going to be on hook. And it's better to kind of start making moves today so that you can kind of project yourself to a better future, so to speak. So oftentimes you're looking at, first and foremost, your income, then your expenses, and then also make sure you're below the state threshold of however many household members that you have. And we usually typically verify that on your taxes. So the trustee in bankruptcy is the individual who's kind of representing the interests of the creditors, and they kind of go over your application and they try to see if you actually are somebody that they think that they can sell assets and try to recoup some money from, or you're just one of those individuals that are destitute or have very little assets that's even worth anyone's time to go after, and it's better off for them to discharge. And actually, it's not better off, but you're entitled to the discharge in that situation. So a lot of people wonder, can I keep my car? In various states, I know I practice in Illinois, there is just a federal $2,500 exemption. Let's say your car is worth $2,500, you're pretty much exempt from them being able to go after that. And then in Illinois, there's a $15,000 exemption for your house. So there's $15,000 worth of equity in your house. They can't go after that either, and they'll consider that as, in a way, that's not an asset, because after you minus the mortgage and then the seller's cost and all that stuff, you're barely making any money. So it's not worth their time. And in the end, usually this process takes like 6 months to a year, depending on various debts. Medical debts are definitely dischargeable, and those are unsecured. Unsecured debts are debts that somebody cannot take something back. Let's say a car. That's not an unsecured debt. That's a secured debt, because let's say you default on your car, they can always take it back because they're secured in that car. Same thing with a home. They have a mortgage, they get secured in that as well. So when you're thinking about doing a Chapter 7, you have to look at your income, once again, your expenses, your overall debt is a consideration, but realistically speaking, it's not a huge consideration. Let's say you owe $50,000 and you can't pay it back, and you don't have the income to pay it back, minus your expenses. Might as well be $100,000 at this point, because there's no, you can't pay $50,000, you can't pay $100,000. So realistically, that's not a huge issue as much as, what the numbers look like in regards to the ability to pay back. Other exemptions are IRA. So your retirement accounts are often exempt. Your 401k are actually often exempt. I've had clients who have $100,000 in their 401k, and we've been able to discharge, $30,000-$40,000 worth of credit card debts because, first off, you can't touch the 401k. Secondly, there are protections because, one of the benefits of 401k and IRAs are to protect from creditors. So it's actually a pretty good deal for a lot of people. So yeah, though that's pretty much the basics of Chapter 7. You gotta ask yourself those questions and get answers in regards to, what am I looking at financially? Sit down and look at the numbers, because the numbers will tell you everything. And typically, when my client comes to me, it takes me about 20 minutes to determine that you're a slam dunk bankruptcy. You need to do it because you're not getting out of this situation unless you get lucky and you have a big windfall and then you make all this money. But that's rare. And secondly, wouldn't you rather discharge your debt today, and then if you have this huge windfall, you're good, as in you get to keep all of it and you're not worried about making more income in the future. Hello YouTube, please like and subscribe to this channel if you found this video informational, and also comment below if you thought there were some issues that you wanted me to answer and possibly address, as well as any future recommendations for videos. That would be greatly appreciated, and I will be back with future content. Thank you very much. Have a great day.